Here.
Yeah, just gotta write this a little bit down here. Give me the signal when you're ready. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting for the Council for the Town of Petawawa to order for December 15th, 2025. Welcome to members of Council, staff. We have some special guests with us here this evening and members of the public as well. We'll begin this evening's meeting with the reading of the land acknowledgement, and this evening it's Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Mayor Service. As we gather this evening, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of the Petawawa Town Council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Omama-Wanini Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Omama-Wanini people and express our respect and support for their rich history, and we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, and we wish to acknowledge our shared responsibilities in responding to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action. Calls to action number 80. We call upon the federal government, in collaboration with Aboriginal peoples, to establish as a statutory holiday a national day for truth and reconciliation to honor survivors, their families and communities, and ensure that public commemoration of the history and legacy of residential schools remains a vital component of the reconciliation process. Recent progress. The first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation as an official federal statutory holiday was marked on 30 September 2021.
Thank you very much. And now I'd ask everybody in attendance to please join me in standing for a moment of silent reflection. Thank you very much. I need a motion to approve this evening's agenda. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the agenda for the 15th of December 2025 regular meeting of council be adopted as presented. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on any of this evening's matters? Councillor Carmody.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I will disclose a pecuniary interest on PL-39-2025.
Thank you very much. Any other disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, I need to approve some minutes from the council meeting of December 1st, 2025. I need a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Saffron, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held December 1st, 2025 be approved as printed and circulated. Are there any questions, concerns on the minutes? All good? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. That brings us to our first of two presentations this evening. We're very excited to have Aaron O'Connor and Sarah Cooper here from Habitat for Humanity, Greater Ottawa, to discuss affordable housing needs in Renfrew County and Petawawa, and tell us about some of their ongoing projects as well. It's great to have you here in person, and we're looking forward to your presentation.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us. We've been working along with Melanie and Colin, having great conversations. We're excited to be invited here tonight, share a little bit more about Habitat and how we work, and if there's a possibility for us to work together in Petawawa. So I'm going to jump right in so that we hopefully have lots of time for good questions at the end. So Habitat for Humanity Ottawa, Greater Ottawa, which reaches all the way up to Petawawa and beyond, brings people together to build homes, communities, and hope. Our vision is that it's a world where everyone has a decent and affordable place to live. Habitat for Humanity operates in a federated model, and Greater Ottawa is one of 45 affiliates across Canada. The Canadian National Office sets the policies very broadly, but each affiliate is governed by its own board of directors as its own legal entity and can approach their work in a way that's meaningful for the community within which they work. The national office supports the affiliates with national level programming, branding, that kind of thing. So you can see here from our map, which includes Petawawa and goes as far as to the east in Hawkesbury. We've been operating in this region for over 30 years, starting in 1993. And in that time, we've served 100 families, including 200 children across our catchment area. And while we celebrated very proudly that milestone last year in Kempville, we also recognized in the context of a housing crisis, 100 people in 30 years is, we can do better. And so we've set a new goal for ourselves that we'll be doing 100 homes in the next 5 years. So we're very excited. Just last week, the province announced a partnership with us where we'll be breaking ground in early 2026 on 33 units in the city of Ottawa. And we're also finishing off an old development at the same time in Ottawa on 2 units. So in 2026, we'll be breaking ground on 36 units towards that 100 homes goal. So very proud of that. You know, what we do, well, it's about building, and I think everybody is familiar with that picture of Jimmy Carter swinging the hammer. And we're very proud of that kind of work that we do. It's really about the families that we serve. And so, you know, we know that there are fantastic families that are waiting for a home in Petawawa. So we're really excited to be able to have this conversation with you tonight. The other thing to mention that's important about how our program works is that every Habitat home remains affordable forever. So through our buyback policy, if a family ever decides to sell their home, we have first right of refusal. We purchase the home back at fair market value and are able to put a new program participant into that home. So some stats. We just recently were able to work with a great group of students who helped us do a little bit of research on a variety of different communities in our catchment area, including Petawawa and Renfrew County. So I'm sure all of you are very familiar with these kinds of statistics and the affordability need in your own community. The thing that's not so different in this community that's the same across Canada is the stats on the bottom really speak to what's happening in the housing market, where the increase in people's incomes are not growing at the same rate as the housing costs. So if you look at just that first line there, you know, in 5 years, it's 5 times the amount that you would have paid in 2001 for a home. But then the next line, you'll see that it's just barely double on the salaries. And so people are really getting priced out of the market. And that's where programs like Habitat for Humanity can come in and help in that affordable and attainable housing range. So, you know, it's important to understand where we are on the affordable housing spectrum. So there's social housing, there's affordable rental, and then there's market rental and market ownership. And we really exist as a bridge between rental housing and getting into market ownership. And so people who work with us pay fair market value for the homes that they have, but we remove the barriers to home ownership. So people who are ready, they're employed, they're ready to purchase a home, but they're just struggling to get that first home under their belt. That's where we come in and support people. So it's not social housing, but it's definitely affordable housing. So how we work, a little bit about our program. Program participants commit to 500 volunteer hours. They can do those hours on their building their own homes. So on the build site, they can do it in a restore, which is our social enterprise that helps to fund our operations, or they can do it in their community. They can volunteer at their school or at their church or other community organizations to complete those 500 hours. And so one of the beautiful things that happens when we come into a community is that huge push of volunteerism that starts to happen. And we found through interviewing our families who participated in the program that volunteerism, they get the bug and it continues and they become really engaged citizens in their community. As I mentioned before, program participants purchase their home at fair market value and make affordable monthly mortgage payments. So we set the mortgage payments to 30% of their household income, which is sort of the standard benchmark of affordability in any kind of, whether it's rent or ownership. We support program participants to become successful homeowners through training in financial literacy and home maintenance. And we partner with them for the duration of the time that they have a mortgage with us. So life happens, they hit a bump in the road, we'll come in, we'll find them either the social services support that they're needing to help them stay housed, or we'll give them, more budget training, things like that, that help them to remain homeowners. So it's not like we just give them their keys and walk away. We really partner with them for the long term to set them up for success. Criteria to participate. So total family household income starting around the 30th percentile of any given community. So that's different likely in Petawawa than it is in Hawkesbury or it is in Ottawa. Canadian citizen or a permanent resident living somewhere that doesn't currently meet their needs. So they could be underhoused, they could be unsafely housed, it could be unhealthy. We see a whole bunch of different scenarios come through our doors. And steadily employed, because they do need to be paying a mortgage and afford a mortgage, and able and willing to contribute those 500 volunteer hours I talked about. So how can you help? So the municipalities that we partner with, we were really excited, as I mentioned before, this week to announce our partnership where we're partnering with the province of Ontario, the city of Ottawa, and a private developer, Kaiba. And then we come to the table as a nonprofit to be able to deliver the affordability program. And it's a really great way of delivering more affordable housing much quicker. So we bring in the professional developer who are expert quick builders. And then we bring in the municipality and as well the province who are helping with the funding and as well as setting the parameters to protect that public funding. So as a municipality, you can help by donating land. That really helps to deliver the affordability in any kind of project. Waiving fees or taxes related to the development for nonprofit affordable housing. Of course, development charges are always removed for nonprofits, as was recently legislated in Ontario. Facilitate partnerships with private developers or the private sector in your community to encourage more affordable housing development. And of course, expediting pre-development processes. And then there's ways as donors, as individuals or corporations in the community can support, and volunteerism. But of course, the most important way you can support is by referring a family in need to our program. And so I know all of you will often get those phone calls from community families in need in your community. And so that is the best way that you can help us, is getting the word out and making sure that families get into homes. I'm going to turn it over to Erin, who's going to talk a little bit about what we see possible in Petawawa.
Yeah, so we've been working with staff I think we've been talking for over a year now. And at the very beginning, there was just a look at some of the surplus lands you had. And the ones that we honed in on were ones that were an infill sort of location in an existing neighborhood between Oak and Spruce and Briarwood Drive. And right now it's sort of a forested couple of pieces of land that are forested and there's nothing on them. And so we started to just explore that. And with the help of Perkins and Will, an architecture firm, they did just a very sort of rough draft of conceptual plan of what you could do here. And it was suggested that we could build anywhere from 17 to 23 townhomes. And it could be all at once or phased or in parcels, as well as we would preserve some land for an existing path that people are already using that includes a water main underneath there. Now, we haven't architecturally designed these. This was just a first blush. Perkins was kind enough to donate their time to allow us to have a look at it. You can see that the topography of these lands will be quite the challenge to develop on. and could be expensive if you were a regular developer coming in. You do have to step the foundations up, especially on Oak Avenue. So there's still a lot of work to do, you know, if this were to go forward, to explore, does this make sense, and what would that look like? Switch to the next slide. Oops, did I just turn it off? This guy. There we go. So this is just a quick summary of some benefits if Petawawa and Habitat were to work together. You know, you do have policy that talks about diversity of housing and various frameworks of how to increase housing options in your policies. So this does fit in that idea. It is using existing land that is serviced. You're not having to build new roads or water or any sewer. You have capacity in these sewers that are there. But it does add property tax revenue without any additional operational cost. It does increase home ownership that's geared to income. Which you've already talked about, that removes the barriers to housing. And it does free up rental units for those who move out of the rental. That's some supply that then for others who needed those rental to move into. And it demonstrates your leadership in, you know, trying to address the housing crisis in your town. Thank you.
So we'll open it up to questions. If anybody has any questions about the presentation or things we may not have covered, happy to answer any.
Okay, thank you very much again for coming all this way and filling us in and really updating us on what's been an ongoing project here in Petawawa. So we do talk a lot in Petawawa about affordable housing. We're in a bit of a catch-22 here in that we've become a desirable community to live in, and it's made our housing market very competitive. And I would say there's even a lack of housing stock. The developers, though they are trying hard, have a hard time keeping up with the needs here in Petawawa. So that has been one of the main reasons that have driven up the rental prices and driven up the market prices of the homes. But it's great to see, like, I can only see positives in this. I really like the fact that this is for working families with kids and people who really want to be in a home, who have a stable employment, but just in today's economy just can't quite get there. And I think it's a fabulous service really that you're providing them. I also like the way that you want them to succeed once they're in there. So when they become a successful applicant and they're in one of your units, you ensure that they stay there by providing them with all kinds of counseling and whatever else they need. Okay, I won't go on too long. I'll open it up to questions from members of council. Councilor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for the presentation. I was privileged enough to sit through one earlier in the year, so I was looking forward to what you had to present to us tonight. I don't mean to put them on the spot, but I'm wondering if you can give us an idea with regards to when they move out and your right of refusal. Does that happen a lot? What are some of the parameters for that?
Sure. So we have not a lot of people who choose to move out, but life happens. You know, somebody gets a job in somewhere else and they decide to sell their home. And so we have a third-party evaluator come in and determine what fair market value is. And we pay the family that's in there that value, and then we sell it for that value to a new family. It has not happened very often at all. People tend to move into these homes and see them as their forever homes. And so we have people who have been living in their homes for 30 years since the first one that we built. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's not something we experience a lot, but we do have that provision in place so that we can ensure that the stock that we're building is affordable stock for whatever community we're building in forever.
Great, thank you. That did answer my question.
Councilor Kern.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thank you, Aaron and Sarah, for coming to speak to us tonight. Yes, I too heard a similar presentation earlier this year, I believe, at the development summit that we had. You were part of that activity that day. Just curious about the 500 hours of time that's donated to a bill. That's quite a bit of time actually, and for people who are working or something. Is that time bounded? Does it have to be done before they're given the keys, or is that right? Or
So I can talk a little bit about that. So in general, in the past, we have required that people complete their 500 hours before they get their keys. There's a lot of different ways to complete that 500 hours. So there's training that can be included in that 500 hours. You can engage your friends and family to work with you and their hours contribute. And so there's different ways to attack that 500 because it does feel daunting, I think, for a lot of people. But we make sure that it's possible. And we get people working on that the minute they're approved, which could be a year before they get their keys. So as soon as we announce a project, we start bringing families in, getting them qualified. Once they're accepted into the program, they can start volunteering right away.
cool. Thank you.
You want to add to that?
Other than that, we have shifted our policy because if it was a buyback situation, it would be a quick turnaround. So we have shifted the policy to allow some of those hours to be done afterward. And we also do give hours to the kids who have little projects they can do during that time too. So the whole family gets involved.
Further questions or comments? Councillor Spittoon?
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thank you for coming back today. On that topic of volunteers, when I was talking with people around town about this project, a lot of people have had experience volunteering for habitat projects elsewhere. And I'm just wondering, on a project this size, do you have any idea of how big or how much you could support volunteers from the community coming to help? Is there a max? Because I feel like this is a real community where a lot of people will come out to help.
Well, I can speak a little bit, similar in size to our project in Kempville. And so we had volunteers on the build site every single day. We had a core group of people from Kempville who became sort of part of the build crew. And it was phenomenal to watch because you had families going on to the build, working alongside community members. And so by the time they actually got the keys to their homes, because many of these people, were moving into Kempville and didn't know the community, but by the time they got their keys, they were very much a part of the community. There was a beautiful group of women who had got together and made every family quilts, and it was an incredible moment for that key ceremony, but they were already integrated. And that's part of the magic of what Habitat does, is that you are engaging the community in the work. It's not done in isolation where we just come in and build something. The community's part of it, whether they're volunteering or whether they're supporting it from a donation perspective, or whether, there's so many different ways to get involved with a Habitat build. And of course, the families are there as well. Yeah.
I'll just sneak one quick question in here about the application process itself. Just maybe comment on, is it onerous? Is it complicated? Who does the vetting and who ultimately decides which families in the community will become successful?
So it's Erin's department that oversees all of that. I'll speak high level. She can fill you in on the details, but we have an expression of interest that's always open on our website. So anybody can go anytime and fill out an expression of interest. And that's basically saying, at some point, I might be interested in becoming a Habitat family. And so it's a very light qualification, but it does help us to sort of eliminate those people that wouldn't necessarily qualify for the program. Once we determine that we are going to do a build, we reach out to those people and say, hey, we've got this plan here. This is the kind of thing we're building, where we're building it. Is this of interest to you? And some people, like in Kempville, it was too far to commute or those kinds of things. And then if they say yes, then they go into a much more lengthy process. And it wouldn't be those of you that own your own homes, that dissimilar from your mortgage application process that you might go through. In addition to that, we're partnering with these families for 30 more years. And so there's things like family home visits, things like that, where we get to know the families a little bit better, determine, do they have a plan to do their volunteer work, that kind of thing. But
Yeah, and we do have to check their credit scores and the debt service ratio, check their incomes. make sure that they're prepared to take on a mortgage. Oh man, there is a whole process. However, there is a very clear policy of how you would actually weight each one of these things, whether it's housing needs, financial stability, preparedness to partner with Habitat for the long term, because there are some restrictions to the housing. One of the ones that, you know, we'll confirm whether someone wants to partner with us is that we don't allow rentals in the home. So you can't go and buy the home and then decide to move out and make an income off that home. That is a big no-no for us. So that might vet somebody out too. So understanding that program and what they're committing to. So we do have a policy that will weight each one of these so that it's fair and even. And then it's vetted through the system, and then our CEO and our board will review to make sure that we haven't had any biases.
Okay, thanks for that. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation. So just say if we were to agree to partner with you, and so what's the time frame from the get-go to when something's completed? So you're sort of talking like anywhere from 17 to 30 units. You're like, that's a big project. So what's the scope of this? How long from, like, say everything's a goes, what's the time frame? Is it 2 years, 1 year? It's 4 years, like from start to finish?
So it varies. It varies on, you know, the municipality that we're working with and how quickly they move through their processes. So if it's a partnership, there's obviously negotiations that need to happen and agreements that need to happen before we break ground. And then, you know, depending on the build methods that we deploy. So for example, in Kempville, we did that in a traditional stick build fashion, Habitat fashion, lots of volunteer engagement, that kind of thing. And that took 2.5 years, I believe. And then, whereas the one that we just announced last week is going to be done with a modular company. That one's going to go very quickly, but I will say it was 1.5 years of negotiations to get to last week's announcement. So it just depends on how the negotiations go, and we want to make sure we're getting it right.
Yeah, thank you. Just another question.
Yeah.
So the modular thing, that's a nice concept. Difference then you can build in your place for that duration of time and then transport something up.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I read that and following that. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Just to follow up on Councillor Roots' question about, you know, the process and the steps we have to take. Here in Petawawa, we do have a land disposal policy, but only for our industrial lands. So the first step for us would be to write up a bylaw and a policy on disposal of other municipal lands. I guess that would be our first step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Deputy Mayor Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was intrigued when you spoke about the modular, because that's a real, lots of advancements, lots of capacity, and they go up very quick and they're very long lasting as well. I was also pleased to hear you say that you have long-term relationships, because the reality of this is that these are families in the community who have lower incomes. Therefore, it will take them a lot longer to pay off that mortgage. It will take them a lot longer to build that equity. So it really is probably a lifelong ownership kind of a thing. So I think Habitat for Humanity's got a wonderful reputation, and you do very good work, and certainly interested in learning a little bit more about this and seeing what it might present for residents here in the town. So thank you.
Thank you.
Perhaps you could comment on the modular, you don't have to give specifics, but the modular home company that you partnered with, have they put some investment into the game as well? Let's just say they're going to use that as a bit of a showcase for their product.
So we're partnering with Kaiban, which is public knowledge now, after last week's announcement. And I have to say, we couldn't have picked a better private partner to work with. They've been phenomenal in offering us all kinds of services as we move through this project. They've been incredibly generous with their expertise, with our staff, and providing their own staff's expertise, free or very, very, very low cost. So I can't say enough good things about working in partnership with them. They've certainly contributed a great deal. And in addition to that, they've become incredible advocates for habitat in the private sector. So couldn't ask for better partners.
We are aware of a couple of modular home companies that want to establish a footprint here in, the Ottawa Valley, Renfrew County.
Yeah.
So that perhaps they would be good partners to seek out in
Yeah.
terms of them wanting to showcase their product in the local area as well.
And we would be very open to that for sure. I've heard of both of them and they're both very reputable.
Further questions or comments? Councilor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thanks for the presentation. Honestly, I really like how your organization operates. I like that people have to volunteer their time to actually put some skin in the game. So it's not like they just apply for it and walk right into a fully done home. They have to actually put some time and effort into it, which I really appreciate that. I'm interested to see where this goes. Because especially with the amount of density you're talking about building, it's not like we're going to build 1 or 2 homes on a lot. There is enough there, so we'll see as the policies get worked out how that comes about. But it's really good, and I'm happy that it's starting to work out. With the modular home, if they come more complete, where does the volunteer hours go into that? Because there's obviously no construction as much, anyways.
Yeah, so that's something that we're working on with Kaivan, is to figure out how they can contribute. So definitely at the end, there's all of the landscaping work that needs to be done, the finishing, painting, things like that. So there's certainly opportunities at the end of the project for volunteers to come in. So we've been talking about, are there other ways that we can engage volunteerism? But we do have this other build going on at the same time, the smaller one. And so for a lot of the families, they'll be working on somebody else's home to contribute their 500 hours. And thanks, for giving us the opportunity to come tonight. I mean, I think a lot of people, to your point, there's a lot of myths about what we do. People think we give away homes for free, like it's the lottery, and certainly not what we do. These are hardworking families that are paying for their homes like anybody else. And, they are contributing to their community through their volunteer work. And so we're always happy to come and be able to share what we do with all of you.
I think that's an important distinction that you made, that it's not social housing. There is a need for social housing. There are members of our society that need that type of housing. But this is a different level of housing that you're providing. Just something for council to think about. So these are 2 lots that are presently not generating any tax income to the town of Petawawa. So if there were 23 units or 20 or 17, wherever it was, this is just some stats for you to think about. So even if each unit was assessed at $250,000 each of those would provide $1,300 in municipal tax revenue for the town of Petawawa, as well as additional tax revenue for the county. So if you times whatever it was, 20 or 23 or 17 by $13,000 or $1,300 every year, it is generating some revenue for the town of Petawawa. Is there anything else? Any other comments or questions? Okay, again, we'd just like to thank you very much for coming and giving us the update on where we stand with our negotiations in the housing. So I think now the ball is in our court. We have to get our land disposal policy done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And then I guess we'll reach back out to you, and I'm sure our planning department will come forward with a fulsome report on some of the options available to us in our potential partnership working with Habitat for Humanity. But as you can hear from everybody and the questions and the comments, it's something that looks very promising for Petawawa. So thanks again for coming up on a snowy evening.
It's our pleasure. We're excited to explore any opportunities. So happy to come back anytime.
Yeah.
And best of luck with your new project. No, we'll be watching it closely.
Perfect.
See how it rolls out.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Safe drive home. And if you're interested in what's going on in the Deep River Hospital, you can hang around and find out. They just learned a lot about Habitat for Humanity. Okay, it's my pleasure now to welcome Jana Hodson, CEO of the Deep River Hospital, and David Cox, the board chair of the Deep River Hospital, to provide us with a much needed update on what's been going on up at the Deep River District Hospital. And from the pictures I see and the rumors I hear, there's a lot of construction going on up there. So we can't wait to hear what you've got to tell us.
Thank you for the opportunity to update you this evening. It's a great pleasure, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having us. It's been a little while since we've been to give you some updates on all of the exciting activities that are happening at the Deep River Health Campus, and very timely that we're following a conversation about affordable housing. I'm not sure if that was on purpose, but some of the impacts of what we're doing in Deep River will definitely impact the housing market, and we're excited to share those updates. So thank you again for having us. Sorry, okay. So we have just some general updates. Some of our statistics and demographics have changed, which we're excited to tell you about. We have all kinds of exciting news about capital projects and some new initiatives that are coming down as well that will impact both you as users, but as a municipality as well. So we have all kinds of exciting things to tell you about tonight. So just in case you're not as familiar with the campus, as I often assume that most people here are, just some stats about us as an organization. We are one consolidated healthcare campus that serves a population all the way up the river. Past de Riviere and Swisha come to us, as well as a good portion of Petawawa, which you'll see, and Pembroke, and kind of everywhere in between. So roughly it's about 24,000 people that we count as our catchment area from that huge area of geography. We have currently 14 long-term care beds in our soon to be expanding Four Seasons Lodge long-term care home. We also see about 16,000 people in our emergency department on an annual basis, roughly anywhere between 300 to 350 stays in our acute care hospital. And then our family health team sees roughly 3,000 patients. And we're also doing a lot of unrostered patient care as well. So that's a little bit about who we are and what we do on an annual basis. Some of the programs that you might not know that we have, we do everything from preschool speech therapy to a lot of palliative care, vaccination clinics. We have diagnostic imaging, palliative care, nutrition screening, and OBSP program. So we're more than just a hospital, even though I know everyone still calls us Deep River District Hospital. We are truly broadening our services to be a health campus to look at wellness of all of the community members and communities in our catchment area. So that has been our mission and will continue to be for at least the next couple of years. We are midway currently through our strategic plan. In our new strategic plan, our vision and our purpose remain the same. We want to continue to provide an excellent compassionate care experience for everyone that walks through our door every time. And we continue to work to make sure that every person is cared for like a loved one within that larger connected system. Our three pillars, since probably the last time we visited, have shifted in our new strategic plan. So we truly are focused on people, both for who we serve today and who is part of our team today, but also into the future as we look to grow our team. Growth is a big part of what our campus is doing right now and will be for the foreseeable future. And then really focusing on that community health and wellness aspect of broadening and adjusting and making sure that we're serving and meeting the needs of our community as it continues to evolve. Our values as an organization have remained the same for years and are really key to who we are and how we measure the work that we do on a regular basis. So some just key updates, and I won't go through all of the necessary numbers here, but you'll see some statistics here, and this is just some fun facts to let you know where we sit, especially compared to the majority of our peers out in the broader aspect of health services. We know healthcare is generally in a crisis right now. You would have heard all kinds of emergency department room closures, long wait times, transfer times that are challenging, and this is more than I think just seasonal. There is challenges with capacity across the healthcare system. When we look at our numbers here in Deep River, we do have some really significant key indicators that differentiate us from our peers. Things like 7 minutes from your arrival in the emergency department to seeing someone at triage. 53 minutes is a high end of the time it would take you from triage to see an actual physician in our emergency department. Average that most hospitals are working towards is 4 hours, and that's the goal. And most hospitals are not achieving that. So these are statistics that we are really proud that we're able to maintain, even with increasing emergency department visits on a very regular basis. And we're continuing to track these so we know that we're both adjusting and predicting and being able to work towards, as our community shifts, some of the key demographics that will change here. So these are some new statistics since the last time I came to visit you. And I'd like to congratulate the town of Petawawa. You are now the largest user by percentage of our emergency department. So thank you very much for your continued loyalty and business. We are happy to continue to serve you. This is the first time that you are the largest user of our emergency department, followed very closely by Deep River at 34%. But this demonstrates that I think the distance in between Petawawa and Deep River is not that far when it comes to emergency department care, and perhaps speaks to the short arrival and triage times that we see. So we're very happy that we continue to be able to serve and meet the needs of Petawawa residents in our emergency department. Our family health team also has a large percentage of Petawawa residents. Roughly a quarter of residents in our primary care come from Petawawa, with the majority coming from Deep River. We are working as a region in primary care to try and provide care closer to home. So there is initiatives that are occurring to try and shift people so that there is less distance to travel. Right now we are working towards trying to achieve 100% attachment for all of our catchment areas, and you'll hear a little bit more about some of our successes and growth there. But you'll see that there is still a wide range of people that we serve outside of our catchment area, even within our primary care team. And this doesn't also account for some of our community physicians. So this is just the physicians that are governed and operated by Deep River and District Health. We also have three physicians in town that are a family health organization that also provide services to a wide range of patients as well, from different geographies. As far as our medical imaging, you will see here we do have a variety of demographics and geographies that come in service, come and receive services here in Deep River. So in our medical imaging, we have general X-ray, ultrasound, and mammography services that make up these statistics. Again, potentially because of the quick times to get in, we see a huge percentage of people that do travel to Deep River, and we are happy to provide walk-in services as well. So even if people are presenting to the emergency department or to our clinic, we can accommodate walk-in, and we have over the last year extended our services and walk-in services to ensure evenings and weekends are available, so people don't necessarily have to pre-book an appointment, especially those working individuals. So those, as a result of feedback from our patients. A little bit about who we are and who our team is today. This will change significantly in about a year and a half when we come back and tell you after some of our new initiatives, but this is who we are today is Deep River and District Health. We have just under 200 staff today. Growing incrementally and then all of a sudden very, very shortly. Predominantly, we have a mixture of nursing staff. We have roughly 99 physicians that have privileges at our hospital. That doesn't mean they all come and work on a regular basis, and we'll talk a little bit more about physician recruitment and challenges in a little bit. These are physicians that come from other communities to come and provide potentially one shift in the emergency department or a couple shifts on the emergency department. That's why it looks like we have a lot of physicians, but they aren't regularly coming back. And those are some of the challenges that we have. We have 15 governance volunteers, of which Dave Cox is our chair from our board of directors. And what's not mentioned on here is the roughly 200 auxiliary volunteers that are in our community that provide a whole array of services for not just the residents in our long-term care home and our patients, but for the community as well. So this is who our team is. We're very proud of the work that they do, recognizing that they will change a lot. But what is interesting is where our team actually comes from, especially when we're talking about housing and affordable housing. You again are a quarter of where our staff live. They drive, a significant portion of them drive from Petawawa to come to Deep River. And we anticipate that proportion, if housing is available, to remain similar when we expand our workforce. So if we look at where we are today, in 2 years when we look to expand, we would assume that people will go where the most affordable housing will be, wherever that is. So now I'll pass it over to Dave to talk about the really exciting things, which is all of our capital projects and growth.
Okay, thanks, Jana. Yeah, definitely a lot happening on the new infrastructure and capital investment. So happy to talk about that. One that's just come to fruition is our new primary care building, which houses our family health team. As Jana has explained, the North Renfrew Family Health Team, so physicians, nurse practitioners, and other support staff are enclosed in the facility. But we've also negotiated an arrangement for the family health organization, private physicians, to also work in the facility. So when we designed it, we actually expanded the size of it to accommodate this new model of mixed physicians, and it's something new and unique, and I think it'll really definitely be an advantage as we tackle the problem of physician recruitment and other staff recruitment as well, nursing also. It's the primary care building. We opened it up, celebrated a ribbon cutting beginning of September, and it's a fantastic facility. I really encourage, if you have the opportunity to visit us, hopefully not due to an illness, but take advantage of checking it out, because it's a wonderful place, and everyone who I've talked to that's had the chance to visit is very enthused about the new facility. So that was about a $13 million project. It's come to fruition, and it's really providing a great addition to the capital infrastructure for DRDH. Some pictures of inside. So that it's not just clinical space, but there's also some publicly accessible meeting rooms. That's the top right picture with the fancy lights. It's a very bright and open design, and so we're really pleased with how it's working out, as are the staff and of course the patients who find their way through the primary care facility. On the long-term care development, this is such a desperately needed addition to this region. We're so short of long-term care beds, and so we're really pleased to have received the approval for this project, and we're about halfway through construction now. You can see the aerial shot with the green insulated siding on the exterior of the building. It's quite a large building. In fact, if I look at the overall campus, you can see the helipad on the left corner, and then to the right is the roof of the new family health team, primary care, and then the hospital itself back behind, and then the new long-term care. So we're really changing and expanding the footprint of DRDH. This is a $45 million project, the new long-term care, and it will result in a significant increase in the workforce. Again, affecting all of our communities, including Petawawa. And it's scheduled to open in 2027. So we're on track. Construction is progressing well. We're closing it in now. Windows are coming. In fact, many of the windows are in place. And so it's getting sealed up, and they're working inside now. So we're really pleased with that, and it's a great opportunity. And as I said, it's a very desperately needed function in our area, because we're underserviced for long-term care in this region. This project didn't just appear all of a sudden. It was about 6 or 7 years in planning in advance and making proposals and getting it approved. And it's about a 3-year construction. And as I said, we're about halfway through. So first resident date in June-ish of 2027 is what it's on track for right now. So we're really pleased with that. It presents the need, though, for a lot of additional staff. Over 100 up to 150, mix of part-time and full-time new staff to undertake all the work that goes on in the new long-term care facility. And along with that, there's a lot of spousal employment, childcare, expanded housing demands that show up in our region. And with a wage base of about $5 million once we're into operation. So again, it'll have an impact in the area. We're quite keen and enthused to see it move ahead. Do you want to cover the emergency department modernization?
So this is another project that we've been working on for, I would say, a few years, at least now anyways. Looking at both as our emergency department gets busier, as needs change, and of course post-pandemic, as well as post-implementation of our electronic health record system, EPIC, in 2023. We've known that we need to make some adjustments to our emergency department. So we are just in the process now of finalizing procurement for services so that we can start renovations on our emergency department in early January, February, with the goal to improve both accessibility and privacy, as well as expand the footprint of our waiting room in the emergency department, because depending on any given day, sometimes it is standing room only. So we recognize that to be adaptable, we need to be able to expand that footprint, as well as make use of all of the technology that we've been able to implement over the past couple of years at Deep River. So we will, this is giving some advanced knowledge that we will be implementing some more renovations, because it's not the same if we're not in construction somewhere all the time at the health campus. So we finished primary care and now it's time to turn to the emergency department. This project will have multiple phases because our plan is to do it while the emergency department is open, which presents some unique operational changes and challenges when we're doing renovations in the middle of a busy emergency department. But the goal is to maintain service, recognizing there might be some disruption and temporary shrinkage of signs and things might move around. So wanting to give council the heads up that that will be occurring and starting in early 2026, with the goal to not disrupt services, to maintain our capacity, but ultimately to modernize some of our spaces. This is just a very high level view, and depending on how familiar and how much time you've spent in our emergency department, you may or may not be able to place where this is, but really our first focus is on the forward facing emergency room, waiting room. So we will be shifting where triage currently occurs to create an accessible and private space, blowing out some walls to create expanded spaces, as well as replacing all of the flooring in and around there. It is a 50-year-old building, so there is constant work that needs to happen to maintain it in a safe and modern state. So that is the immediate work that will occur. One benefit of moving to a completely electronic health record is that we no longer need storage space for paper records. So we will be converting some of that space into office and meeting spaces as part of our modernization. So we are really excited about this project to kick it off. Not so excited about the disruption and the construction inside, but excited about the outcome of having a more modernized emergency department, as well as space for both staff and for patients. So then when we talk about what's coming up and all the exciting things that are happening next, we are in the rare space now where we actually in healthcare have open space and extra space, which never happens in a healthcare organization where we're constantly growing out of our space. So with the move into the primary care building, we have the former clinic, which is now open, as well as when we move into our long-term care home in 2027, we will have the Four Seasons Lodge long-term care home, which is open. So these are the two spaces in the current, again, this is just the existing footprint of the health campus. And these are spaces that we are looking to repurpose because we don't want anything to sit idle. So in 2027, we have already dedicated know what our current long-term care home will turn into, and that is a hospice. So we were lucky enough to be successful in a recent expression of interest from the Ministry of Health to be able to implement a hospice program, and this will be a residential hospice program where people will come into the facility at a stage of end of life and be able to receive care in the community close to their homes, their loved ones, their family and friends. Currently, when we have people that are palliative, they either choose to remain palliative in the hospital, which I think our team does an amazing job of providing palliative care in a hospital setting. If they choose hospice, it is often leaving the community, which means either there is one bed in Pembroke or our nearest residential hospice is 6 beds in Renfrew County. So this is another aspect where health services at this end of the county aren't exactly equalized, and we're looking to try and rectify some equalized access to hospice services. This timeline is a little bit ambitious, I will admit, because we'll be doing the design of hospice in 2026, in and around the same time that we are preparing for occupancy of our long-term care home. The goal is, when we move out of our long-term care home, is that we have a plan in place to immediately start renovations so that we can turn around and open a hospice as soon as possible afterwards. We do anticipate it's roughly a 6 months construction, recognizing we have what is classified as a new long-term care home that has already received multiple upgrades and is a beautiful, tiny little long-term care home that will not require many renovations, although some will be necessary to transition it into a residential hospice. So that is the ambitious goal for us to transition hospice. This is some wonderful photos of our current long-term care home and the beds that will become what our hospice is. This will meet the current design standards for hospice, which will include outdoor spaces, private entrance, spaces for family, spiritual space, all of the ambitious spaces that are needed at that really critical time of life. So this is something that our team is just starting to embark on in the design phase, and we are actively looking for partners as well to help us so that we can ensure that this meets the needs of all of those that will come through this into the future. So an additional space that we have for repurposing is the former home of our North Renfrew Family Health Team, which was not just office spaces, but treatment rooms and a whole block here. You'll see the blueprint of the space that is now a blank campus. So what we are looking to do as a health campus is to welcome new partners to the community. And they don't necessarily need to be healthcare partners. Partners that improve health, well-being, social services of our area are who we are looking to welcome to the community as a general push to improve the wellness of our community and access to services at this end. We know a lot of people in not just Deep River area, but also in Petawawa need to travel to Pembroke, to Renfrew, to Ottawa and beyond, and that can be incredibly challenging, especially with the lack of public transportation in our area. So we are looking to welcome partners that are interested in opening satellite sites or small offices, or to provide treatment on a regular basis, having a service and a site at the campus. We already have some partners that are interested and that will be joining the health campus, again, that improve the wellness overall and the social demographics of health of our community. So this is my ask and my offer. If you have anyone that is interested, please send them our way. We are in the rare opportunity that we could welcome new people, and we are looking for long-term relationships with individuals, with organizations that are looking to really make a footprint and make an impact in Deep River and all of our communities here in North Renfrew. Just some more good news for on the primary care front as well. Our family health team was part of a regional expression of interest from the primary care led by the West Champlain Family Health Team, but partners with many of the primary care in our community to respond to a call for increased resources for family health teams. So we were successful as part of that collaboration, and we are currently in the process of implementing some of the positions that we were successful with the expression of, with the goal to increase our roster size to continue to care for more people in the community, with the overall goal from Ontario Health and the Ministry of Health of making sure that every Ontarian has access to primary care. We are not that far off in our community, some better than others, but we still have a ways to go. And this was really a wonderful regional collaboration to help us along that journey. Still some ways to go, but this is a starting point. And then the last piece is physician recruitment. Do you want
Sure.
Sure.
So we're not unique, you know, in the across the province and in all regions, there are challenges regarding both supply and retention of physicians. So we're not unique on that front. And that's both for hospital coverage and for the primary care side. So physicians, you know, Jen already in her presentation covered, we have 99 physicians rostered primarily to keep the emergency department operational. Many of those are covering a small number of shifts, but there's a small number who cover many shifts. And they can easily get burned out, and it's a real challenge. And so physician recruitment is something we've always got our eye on, and it's really important to sustaining the ecosystem of healthcare that we're trying to achieve. And on top of that, the demand for services has increased substantially. The number of visits to emergency departments, and you know, it's all growing and presenting additional challenges. Competition for physician recruitment is very tight, and there are a lot of incentives and attractive offerings made by communities to bring physicians in across the board. And so we're part of that as well. And so our physician recruitment committee is busy updating plans and developing some additional recommendations. And suffice it to say, we'll be coming back, I think in the new year, to look to see how we can partner together to, you know, bolster physician recruitment for our entire catchment area. And you know, we're approaching all of our municipalities in the catchment area with this updated request. So it's really important, it's part of the mix, and it's an essential element of getting the necessities of healthcare delivery, you know, underway in our area. So I think that wraps things up. And again, thank you for your time. We're pleased to answer questions. And over to you.
Well, thank you very much. You really filled us in completely there with all the ongoings up at the Deep River Hospital. We're always a little bit jealous when you come because, as you know, we don't have hospitals. But it's always great to hear all of the innovation and all of the renovations and new builds that are going on up there. Because, as you said, a large portion of your customer base does come from Petawawa. So it is with a tinge of jealousy that we listen to what's going on, but we know that we need you, and in a way, you need us as well. I'll open it up for questions. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And more of a comment, thank you, both of you, for coming here tonight and giving us this update. And when you say it's busy, that is more than busy. And what a great work, what a great vision, because the communities all around here that go to the hospital campus really require those services. So I just want to thank that whole team up there for all the great work and reaching out to get the help from the government and to move this facility forward. And I see nothing but a great future there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very exciting stuff going on, and I'm really thrilled about hospice. That is a tremendous need for our community, and people don't necessarily have the opportunity to choose to depart at home, and nor is it practical. So this, I'm sure, will be, I think what I saw was 3 to start with, and then the expansion. And I'm I don't want to commit myself too publicly, but I'm certainly happy to do some work towards that and get that number right at the top as quickly as we possibly can, because I know it's going to be it is a huge need. So thank you for everything you do for us.
Councillor Grant.
Thank you for your service, and thank you very much for coming to update us on all of the activities. I was at the opening of the primary care building last in early September, a rainy day, but it was a beautiful building. It was just spectacular. And all of the work that's being done up there is a direct benefit to our community as well as Deep River and all of the other communities that you mentioned. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Further questions or comments? Councilor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you for your presentation. Honestly, the amount that it goes into that hospital is quite amazing. I've been there several times, have nothing but excellent care and excellent reviews from it. Really excited to see that, like, your vision between the two of you and your teams, how much you're getting done in such a short timeline. There's clearly no stopping, which is very nice to see that everything is, as one thing's ending, another thing's starting, and something's starting in conjunction, which is nice. It's nice to see an upgrade to, like, say, a 50-year-old building. Sometimes it's nice to make it a little facelift. So yeah, I just want to appreciate it and thank you so much for everything you're doing up there.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Councilor Kutsu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Thank you sincerely for your presentation. When you showed that one slide with all the numbers, I wasn't surprised to hear that you have such great results. Like Councilor Driscoll, I've been on before with family members and such, and just blown away by the level of care and the speed of care. So thank you sincerely for the vision to meet every need in the community and invite partners in. I really think that we are very lucky to be so closely located and to be able to support with housing and our own amenities here. I have just one question. We focus a lot on physician recruitment. I'm just wondering, do you have any other challenges when it comes to, say, recruiting the other support staff, so say nurses or other imaging specialists or any other, particular technical skill people? Thank you.
I think everyone in healthcare has some challenges with recruiting, especially those specialist positions, because there just are not enough in the province and nationally of some specialist positions. So things like physiotherapists, sonographers, occupational therapists. So those are some that are incredibly challenging. We do a lot of work with external partners to try and bring in those roles, but they are a challenge and they can impact service, especially in a team where you might be one of one. Those are incredibly challenging, and part of our strategy has been to grow so that we can have more redundancies, because then we have less interruptions in services. So with the growth in our staff base, we're looking to almost double our staffing. So there will be challenges. That is definitely one of our biggest challenges over the next year, is where do these people come from? So we have an incredibly ambitious team and a robust plan to work on that, as well as to work with all of our partners as well to try and make it the most desirable place to work, because we really do have a fantastic team that loves what they do, and that's part of our recruitment and retention strategy to help to address some of those one-offs, as well as to help with physician recruitment.
Okay. Thank you.
Just have a bit of a technical question for you in terms of RCV TAC and the IBC program here in Petawawa. Have you noticed a difference in intake since those programs both began and more people were getting connected to physicians through those two programs? Well, really it's paramedicine, but and a lot of virtual physicians, but have you seen an effect on your numbers at the Deep River Hospital?
As part of the IBC program, so we do have 2 physicians that are part of that program within our family health team, which has been amazing, absolutely, to maintain our numbers. So we have seen impacts from the IBC program, just being able to bring those even partial rosters, numbers, whether they're 300, 600, it still all impacts things positively, very much so. We do see a lot of positive impacts from our CV TAC as well, with emergency department diversion, especially for those that don't have access to primary care. So it's continued to be an incredibly beneficial program. Our emergency department would be much busier if we did not have our CV TAC. So they definitely have allowed us to maintain our capacity to provide those excellent timings.
Because I noticed your projected numbers for 2025, 2026 seem to be going up despite the fact that we have IBC and RCV TAC here in the area. So is that just the population growth that's driving that?
I think half of it is population growth, half of it is the fact that our population is not as well as it was 5 years ago. So we're starting to see now the implications of the pandemic, from delayed health screenings, from challenges to accessing care. we are seeing those things come out as a population now, and we collectively are not as healthy as we were. You'll hear that the health system is strained, and that is definitely part of it, is the fact that our population is sicker and more acute. So who we see in our emergency department are not necessarily people that could be seen by primary care. They are much sicker than they used to be, which is also part of our need to renovate our emergency department, is to provide care for the adjusted population needs that we're starting to see. So we are still very grateful for our paramedicine partners, because they take some of the pressure off of what they can. But overall, we do anticipate that those numbers in the emergency department will continue to grow year over year, just a result of the general population health.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And I just have one other, I guess I'll call it a technical question. We saw the stats about your residents, the workforce, where they live, and a high percentage are in Petawawa, as well as the visits to the emerge. Petawawa was number one then. What I wanted to ask, and I think we've discussed this before, but Petawawa has about 9,000 residents that live in a KHA postal code and have a Pembroke address. So do those stats in terms of your workforce and in terms of ER visits and family health team visits, does that take into account the 9,000 Petawawa residents that would come to you and say, we're from Pembroke, but they live in Petawawa?
My understanding is that those come directly from postal codes. So we pull people's postal codes when we're doing those statistics. I will have to get back to you on that, to be honest, because it might actually be a lot higher than I just reported to you.
Yeah.
And my apologies if that's an error, but I will definitely get back to you on that.
As we have navigated through our postal code issues, I thought I had reached out to everybody to ensure, because I know I talked to the Pembroke Hospital about that, and to CNL and other entities, the garrison, and I thought I had reached out to you with that before. So it'll be interesting to see once you look up the KDA issue and see if, in fact, even more of the workforce this year and even more of your patients are coming from Petawawa and not Pembroke. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just one more, as we were talking about recruitment and staffing issues, with the modernization that you're undertaking, have you started to implement much in the use of AI with diagnostic imaging or diagnosing or assistance with physicians, stuff like that? Is that part of modernization aspect as well?
That has definitely been part of the modernization journey. Absolutely. One of our key pillars is implementation of technology in order to facilitate access. So we've embraced that. And with having Epic in place now for 2 years, it already has a lot of AI features in it. And we work as part of the regional group as well to make sure that we are implementing those in a safe and responsible way. We do already use AI features and AI scribing with physicians in order to decrease the administrative burden and make sure that they can spend more face time with patients. And we're continuing to explore more tools. So that has been so far a positive experience because it does allow us to do things even more efficiently.
Awesome, thanks.
Councillor Gunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was actually going to go on the same line of that as a customer to the Deeper campus. Having rolled into that electronic system and having that information directly available at home that you can check into has been a great benefit. So I'm just happy to hear that you're continuing to develop along those lines. And maybe a cancer care clinic of some kind up on this end of the valley.
That sounded like a hint. Okay, if there are no further questions or comments, and again, on behalf of all of us and really all of our residents in Petawawa, thank you for everything you do. We've noticed, especially in the last 4 or 5 years, all of the innovation and all of the advances you have made in making sure that you're providing care not only for the residents of Deeper, but as you said, for the surrounding area. And maybe as we'll find out even more, Petawawa that you're looking at. So whether it's a long-term care home, the hospice, your new family health team, improvements to the emerge, and that whole wing that you have that might provide even more services to the surrounding area is fantastic. So keep up the great work. I honestly don't know how you do it because we've had conversations about how difficult it was with this whole long-term care process, and a 10-year odyssey. And while that was going on, you did all of this other stuff. So thank you again to you and your team for taking care not only of Deep River, but all of us in this area. And I will send you a list of the Petawawa K postal.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate
you'll
that.
have that for reference. So
Thank you very
again.
much.
Thanks for your time.
Okay. Safe journey home and have a Merry Christmas. Happy
Thank
New
Thank
Year.
you, likewise.
Okay, we'll carry on with bylaws. First up, we have bylaw 1794/25, being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustment. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Driscoll, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1794/25, being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustment, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1794/25, being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustment, be read a first and second time this 15th day of December 2025.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1794/25. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1794/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Any questions or comments on the bylaw? So we know that means Councillors Coutu, Driscoll, and Deputy Mayor Simon, who are once again the Committee of Adjustment. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1794/25, being a bylaw to appoint a committee of adjustment, be read a third time and pass. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1794/25. This 15th day of December 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1795/25, being a bylaw to establish salary grids and set the 2026 compensation rates for the town of Petawawa. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Roos, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, that bylaw 1795/25, being a bylaw to establish salary grids and set 2026 compensation rates, be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1795/25, being a bylaw to establish salary grids and set 2026 compensation rates, be read first and second time this 15th day of December 2025.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1795/25. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that bylaw 1795/25 be read a third and final time and passed. Are there any questions or comments on the bylaw? Deputy Mayor Sapp.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder if either yourself or CAO could just, for our viewing public, just describe what the difference is between the last year's salary and increment to this year, please.
CAO.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Yes, you're basically looking at a 2.5% CPI increase on the wages. I will point out to council that there was one position in the grid in last year's comparison that you would have looked at, that the rate was in error. So if you saw a larger increase of 2.2%, it was because that was a typo and it was corrected administratively after the fact. So just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I believe that's in the seniors programmer rate step 1 in the 2024 bylaw. They were actually getting paid what was in that rate on your bylaw. You see this before you this evening.
Any further questions or comments on the bylaw? Okay, if you're comfortable then, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1795/25, being a bylaw to establish salary grids and set 2026 compensation rates, be read a third time and pass. This constitutes third and final reading of bylaw 1795/25, this 15th day of December 2025.
Next, we have bylaw 1796/25, being a bylaw to set remuneration and expenses for members of council, persons appointed to local boards, and committees and members of staff when on municipal business for 2026. I need a motion for first and second reading. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that bylaw 1796/25 being a bylaw to set remuneration and expenses for members of council, persons appointed to local boards and committees, and members of staff when on municipal business for 2026 be read a first and second time. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1796/25, being a bylaw to set remuneration and expenses for members of council, persons appointed to local boards and committees, and members of staff when on municipal business for 2026, be read the first and second time this 15th day of December 2025.
I need a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 1796/25. Moved by Councillor Carmody, seconded by Deputy Mayor Saber, that bylaw 1796/25 be read a third and final time and pass. Are there any questions or comments on the bylaw? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried.
Corporation of the Town of Petawawa, bylaw 1796/25, being a bylaw to set remuneration and expenses for members of council, persons appointed to local boards and committees, and members of staff when on municipal business. Final reading of bylaw 1796/25, this 15th day of December 2025.
Okay, next we have correspondence. First, we have the OPP 2026 annual billing statement. So I'm sure council had a chance to review this document, although not quite as severe as last year, where the entire province was in uproar and asked for the provincial government to step in to provide some assistance, which was given, I might add. So what they've presented with us this year is to cap the increase at 11% of the previous year. So for the town of Petawawa, what that means, 11% of the 2025 grand total billing will be $198,227, which will be the addition to our payable for 2026. That'll bring that entire amount to $2,286 for the town of Petawawa. Just for reference of council and members of the public, that increase of $198,227 is equivalent to about a 1.5% tax increase for the municipality, just to cover OPP increased costs for 2026. So it's not ideal by any means, but it's what is being presented to every municipality in the province. Basically, the base service amount and the call service amount has not changed too much, but it's that 11% addition that everybody in the province is going to have to suffer through. So we know that every municipality right now in the province of Ontario who's budgeting for 2026 has to add at least 1.5% just to cover the OPP leasing cost. Now, in speaking of increases, we are also very grateful for the service we get from the OPP, especially here in Petawawa. You know that last week we did have the outgoing inspector here, and we are very grateful for the service they provide and how safe they keep the community of Petawawa. It doesn't mean we have to enjoy paying that much for it. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. My comment was just having the inspector here last week. I really liked what he said about data integrity and how that's going to be a focus for the detachment going forward, and having more accurate reports to municipalities about the work being done and implementing more structures to like the swing shift to make sure there's less overtime. So I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic about what our bill will look like this year. So, you know, this as a snapshot before those structural adjustments, I'd be really interested in seeing if that has a good impact for the ratepayer. And you're right, the value we get is great, but if we could, you know, tighten up the data, that'd be even better. Thank you.
I appreciate your optimism. You'll see the You'll see that in the correspondence that we received, the 2024 year-end adjustment was an additional 173,292. When in past years, we have actually experienced, I'll call it a rebate here in the town of Petawawa. So yes, what you're saying is true. If all of those data intakes and all the tightening up of the scheduling and everything, it may result in hopefully a rebate for the 2025 fiscal year. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But in the end, we are getting fantastic service from the OPP. It is keeping Petawawa one of the safest communities in all of Ontario. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we'll receive that as information. Next, we have some minutes. We have the minutes from the council and committee meeting, December 8th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Coutu. That the minutes of the council and committee meeting held on December 8th, 2025 be accepted by council, and that resolutions from that committee become resolutions of council. Any questions or comments on the minutes? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting of October 9th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Donovan. That the minutes of the Ottawa Valley Waste Management Board meeting held on October 9th, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have spoken to all the details of the minutes, but I'm willing to take any questions that the council has any. Thank you.
Questions on the minutes? Having seen none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee of October 22nd, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin. That the minutes of the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee meeting held on October 22nd, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Coutu.
Thank you, Mayor Service. I've spoken to most of the items on this these meeting minutes before. I just wanted to highlight the men's healing circle continues to welcome new members. So if anyone's interested, they can reach out to be in that way. The information is on the town website. And also we had finalized the planning for our blanket exercise that went very, very well. So hopefully that will be a repeat event. And then just one thing I really wanted to highlight was that the EDI committee will be inviting members of the community to come out and participate in a community pride committee. So we want to have ideas and energy and input from members of the community and hopefully also volunteers the day of. But basically we're looking to even more engage the community in that event, which has been a very popular event with the community. So just to point out, there'll be some ads coming out of it that encouraging people to get connected. And you can reach out to email@petawawa.ca if you're interested in being a part of that. And I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Questions on the minutes? See none, so I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Petawawa Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting of October 23rd, 2025. I need a motion to accept the minutes. Moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Deputy Mayor Sabrin. That the minutes of the Petawawa Accessibility Advisory Committee meeting held on October 23rd, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The majority of this information has been passed on in previous meetings. As is indicated in this set of minutes, our chair is taking a slight leave of absence. So I've had the opportunity to step up and fill that chair position for the few months that would be required. The team held the sensory center this past on the 6th of December. Went very well. Everybody was very pleased. Great pictures are surfacing from there, so we'll be able to get that information out to our community to share that. We're in the budget discussion period as well as a committee working to determine maybe some strong recommendations that we'll be putting forward with our budget requests. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has anything with regard to the accessibility committee.
How did Sensory Santa go with the new venue?
Excellent. It was great. It was nice and compressed, a little easier to manage. Families were happy. It was very well decorated too. Staff did an excellent job decorating. Yes.
That's great, thanks. Any further questions on the minutes? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we have minutes from the Petawawa Business Advisory Network of November 4th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Councillor Roots, seconded by Councillor Coutu, that the minutes of the Petawawa Business Advisory Network meeting held on November 4th, 2025 be adopted as information. Councillor Roots.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was not able to attend this meeting, but I have spoken to many of the details here. And again, it's nice to, when I look at the minutes and have those conversations and visits of businesses. So that, again, under information, business openings, milestones, and celebrations, there's 7 details there. Some new businesses from Eva's Pizza, Petawawa Key under new ownership. Dante's Delicates opening at the is open now also at the Victoria Street. We have Beauty Nails and Spa, the Rise Skin and Slug Health, the Petawawa Car Wash, and that's been a topic for a while. And it's nice to see that there is a person in there also who is just renting and doing some upgrades there, and hopefully we'll take some ownership if things work out. So, and the bistro, of course, too, with some improvements. So it's nice to see our businesses here with some growth constantly. So thank you.
Questions on minutes? It is great to see that even if a business leaves or somebody retires, that it doesn't take long for their location to come up. So that's great to see. Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And finally, we have minutes from the Petawawa Seniors Advisory Committee meeting of November 5th, 2025. I need a motion to accept those minutes. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sabrin, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the minutes of the Petawawa Seniors Advisory Committee meeting held on November 5th, 2025 be adopted as information. Deputy Mayor Sabrin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot continuing to go on to support our seniors in the community, whether it be through Silver Threads or from our Recreation, Culture and Tourism Department. And we had a discussion at our last meeting about the requirement to continue to look for funding avenues to keep our staff who are there with us so that we can continue to offer activities that enrich the mind, body, and spirit. And I have reported on these minutes and would be happy to answer any questions. We will be in January, though, kicking off a planning session to develop our final year in a very robust way for our seniors community. And that's all I'll tell you from now. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Questions on minutes? I noticed they were looking for volunteers to bake and decorate. Was that, you found enough people to take care of it?
Yes, this was for the Heritage Village, and they had, I think, 9 or 10 people, and they were baking away on, I think it was December the 5th. So they were very pleased with that, and that is actually one of the initiatives that we'll be embarking on, is to look at a way to start to marshal some of the tremendous talents and time capacity that volunteers have to support a number of our not-for-profit and particular organizations in our community. Thank you.
Thanks. Any further questions on the minutes? Then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Next, we'll go to staff reports. First up is PL-39-2025, the Warpath Trail Road renaming and extension. And Councillor Carmody has declared an indirect pecuniary interest on this matter, so we'll vacate his seat. Okay, and we'll welcome Melanie Shear, our Director of Planning, to bring forward the report.
Good evening. So back in 2007, there were minutes of settlement issued by the Ontario Superior Court of Justice that had to do with resolutions. There was a lawsuit between different parties, Town of Petawawa being one of them. And one of the settlement actions was to rename private road out on Black Bay called Walsh Trail to Warpath Trail. And another settlement action was that those two trails should meet. They do in reality, the road exists, but on our maps, it shows a break between those two trails. So those two actions were issued to the town back in 2007. In 2009, a bylaw was passed to rename Walsh Trail but inadvertently, instead of renaming it Warpath Trail, the bylaw renamed it Warpath Beach. And also in that 2009 bylaw, the schedule to join those two roads, the second action that we had from the courts was missed. So basically in September of this year, the CAO received a letter from the president of Warpath Beach saying, hey, can the town please do these two actions from this old minutes of settlement? So that's when we discovered this 2009 bylaw. However, as noted, it didn't rename the private road correctly, and we didn't fix the schedule. So that's what's in your package tonight, is the draft bylaw to actually rename the road and to amend the schedule. And under the Municipal Act, when a local municipality wants to name or change the name of a private road, we have to advertise it in the newspaper. So with your support, we will publish a notice in the newspaper after the new year and then bring this bylaw back after that for your passing. And then that, and we'll fulfill our obligations from this kind of long-standing legacy issue.
Okay, questions on the report? I'm just wondering if you could describe for me what Warpath Beach Limited is. What is that entity?
I don't have any details on that company itself.
Okay. And just one more question. When we put this into the newspaper and, issue the public report on this, is there any legalities around us providing some of the history of the story, or did we just put the legislative part of it?
The notice that we have drafted just basically says to fulfill minutes of settlement from a court action.
Okay. Well, thanks for that, because I'm sure some people might wonder if there's an Indigenous reference being made here, but the history of the road, from what I've been told, is that it was from the days when the loggers would make the hike between Petawawa and Algonquin Park to go and do, the winter logging. And they beat a trail from Petawawa along Black Bay into the park. And there were so many of these loggers going out there with their backpacks that somebody thought it looked like they were headed to the front in the World War I. So they called it a Warpath Trail. Now, whether I have my historical facts wrong, I don't know. But that is the history of the name that I've been told. I just thought it'd be interesting for the public to know that that's where the name came from. Okay, any further questions or comments? All right, if you're comfortable then, I need a motion to move this forward. Moved by Councillor Root, second by Councillor Driscoll. The council supports public notice being provided in accordance with the Municipal Act and bylaw 235/03 of its intention to pass a bylaw renaming Warpath Beach to Warpath Trail and extending Warpath Trail on the road, naming bylaw schedule to form a continuous loop from Black Bay Road to Melody Trail. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Melody. We'll get Councillor Carmody back. Next up, we have LEG-15-2025 Code of Conduct Complaint Final Report. And Don is going to deliver this one.
Yes, thank you. So in mid-October, municipality received a Code of Conduct complaint directed towards their service. Our integrity commissioner has conducted a full investigation and has presented his final report. Within that, there was a finding that there was no breach of the Code of Conduct through this investigation. The options for council this evening is that firstly, council needs to receive the final report for information. And secondly, then to direct staff how we should be making this report available to the public. I did provide some options within the report, but again, the decision is up to council as to how we make that public.
You want to deal with, would you like to deal with resolution 16 first and then go on to a further discussion? Okay, so the first resolution is just that council receives the code of conduct complaint final report for information. So on that resolution, are there any questions or comments? Okay, then I need a motion. Moved by Councillor Root, seconded by Councillor Donovan, that council receives the code of conduct complaint final report for information. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. And the next resolution is basically to determine or to give direction to staff to make the final report public by what means. Now that they've offered a few recommendations here. Post the final report on the town's website permanently. Post the final report on the town's website for a predetermined length of time. And I understand there's no minimum or maximum. And third is distributing the final report with the next council agenda package as an item of correspondence. And we did have a recent code of conduct report that we posted to the public earlier this year. What was the length of time we used?
I will have to defer to the CAO. I was not in my role at that time.
Through you, Mayor, service to council, that was posted for a 2-week period on our website and then removed.
Okay, I'll open it up for discussion. Deputy Mayor Stan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Referring back to that same report, if my memory serves me correctly, we did treat it as an item, a council package. So in order to keep things consistent, I would like to do the same. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Kern.
Thank you, Mayor Service. Ditto. I would think consistency is called for.
Other questions or comments? Okay, so what I'm hearing is no reporting or posting on the social media or website. We're just going to bring it forward as a correspondence item on the next council agenda package.
Sorry, I'm just going to say that I thought it was to do the same as last, which was to post for 2 weeks on the website and then distribute it as an item of correspondence in the next agenda.
Okay.
Thank you. That's what you meant.
Thank you for the clarification. So post the final report on the town's website for 2 weeks and then bring it forward as a final report or a correspondence item, on the next council agenda package. Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, so do I need to rewrite this little resolution a bit?
No. Just need mover and seconder.
Okay, so I need a mover and a second. Moved by Deputy Mayor Sackman, seconded by Councillor Carmody. The council directs staff to make the final report public by posting it on the town's website for a 2-week period and distributing the final report with the next council agenda package as an item of correspondence. How's that? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? It's carried. Thanks, Don. Okay, next we have councilor reports. Deputy Mayor Simon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On December the 3rd, I attended the grand opening of Petawawa Storage located in our industrial park, and I'd like to offer my congratulations to the 3 partner families and wish them much success. I also chaired a seniors advisory committee meeting on that same day. On the 6th of December, I attended the tail end of the Santa Claus parade, got to see them all going into the parking lot, but most importantly, I went to the tailgate party and bought a number of cool items for Christmas gifts, and just like to congratulate recreation, culture, and tourism, as well as economic development for a well-done event. On the 8th of December, I attended in the morning emergency management, and in the afternoon, I chaired a library board meeting. And just in closing for the year, I'd just like to thank everybody who has taken the time to support initiatives and make donations towards our food bank, the Petawawa Pantry. It's much appreciated and much needed by members of our community. I would also like to acknowledge that once again, the Christmas Angels will be providing a free lunch to any resident in the town of Petawawa, either on site at the Civic Center through dining in, where we set up like a restaurant and serve you your meal, and Santa Claus will be there as well as musical entertainment. We can also deliver to residents in the town of Petawawa, or if folks prefer to drop in and pick their meals up, they're welcome to do so as well. And that will be on Christmas Day from noon until 2 p.m. And finally, I'd just like to wish everybody in the community, my colleagues and staff team here, a very Merry Christmas and much health and happiness in 2026. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Kern.
Thank you for your service. On December 3rd, I attended the opening of Petawawa Storage. And on Saturday, December 6th, I was at the Women's Monument for the vigil to end violence against women. And that same day, I attended the tailgate market and the Santa Claus parade, which was a resounding success once again. And no, I guess that's it. Okay, and so I will wish the residents of Petawawa a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and all the best in 2026.
Thank you. Councillor Kuzmin.
Thank you, Mayor Service. On December 5th, I attended part 2 of the ad hoc backyard chicken bylaw meeting group, and it was a very productive, I think, conclusion to that group's work. And I know we're all very excited to bring the products of that meeting, those meetings, back to council. On December 6th, I attended the vigil at the Women's Monument in Petawawa on the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. And it was, again, a very impactful ceremony, a very impactful moment of time. And on that same day, on the other end of the spectrum, I too attended the Santa Claus parade and the holiday tailgate market, which I think gets better every year. And then on December 7th, I attended the Christmas event at the Petawawa Heritage Village, which was outstanding. And then on December 8th, I attended a library board meeting. And I'd just like to say to all the members of staff, all my fellow councillors, the mayor, and every member of the boards that we have in Petawawa, thank you for an amazing year. I think when I look back at what we managed to accomplish, it's astounding, but at the same time, I mean, look at all the staff in this room and all the people we have in our program and OPP stations, an amazing group of professionals who really cares. So I just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope everyone is safe and happy, and we see each other again in 2026, ready to go.
Thank you. Councillor Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the December 5th, I also attended the chicken ad hoc meeting. Very excited. This is nearing conclusion. It's been a work in progress, so hopefully we're going to see this in the new year. On the 6th, I attended the Santa Claus parade. Excellent work. Definitely had a lot of fun by all. My favorite float was the Grinch in the cage. Attended the Heritage Village on December 7th. I think that's a real gem in the community that I think more people should try to get out to every event they have. It is a nice little walk back in time of Petawawa. On December 11th, I attended a meeting here for the new Trails Committee. I'm looking forward to getting some work done with that on future development of all of our connectors and how we're going to redevelop our access. On the 14th, I attended the 5th annual Auto Valley Soup Off. It was a great event. Hopefully more people can make it out again next year. It's growing by the year. They had 32 participants this year with lots of people coming through. All the money went to the USPCA, which is a great cause. And currently I've been volunteering some time helping with staff do the outdoor rink, get that up and running. I want to say a big thanks to a couple volunteers I have coming out and helping out. We're hoping to have it open by Christmas so the kids can get out there for Christmas break. And I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody in the town of Petawawa. We've had a great year and looking forward to another great year in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dunn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the 11th of December, I as well attended the trails discussion. That brought a group together that will be looking at the trail system within the town of Petawawa. So that's very exciting work that's coming on. And as well, I would like to extend the warmest of wishes to our residents, to the council and peers on this group, as well as the staff of Petawawa. A lot of good work done this past year. It was exciting to be a part of it and thrilling to see it all come together. And I can barely imagine what 2026 will bring for us. So all the very best for next year and for the holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. December 2nd, I attended a Petawawa Business Advisory meeting where we discussed our economic action strategic plan, the Christmas tailgate event, along with business milestones and celebrations in our town. Thursday, December 4th, I attended the Renfrew County Awards and Appreciation Evening, which was held at Festival Hall. Saturday, December 6th, I participated in the town Christmas parade and another great turnout. I want to thank all organizers who helped out in this event. It was just great. Wednesday, December 10th, I attended and chaired a Festival Hall meeting where this entire meeting was a focus on our new facility lighting upgrade. And we are now confirmed that we now move forward in the very first quarter of 2026 with that upgrade. I want to take this opportunity to wish all the Petawawa residents, the ratepayers, town staff, council members, and you, Mr. Mayor, a very Merry Christmas and all the health and happiness in the new year to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, buckle up. It's a busy couple of weeks. So on December 3rd, I was at a Terrace Park meeting between the town and the Parks Ontario crew that operate Terrace Park. We were talking about some collaborations, potential collaborations, hopefully a method going forward to increase the level of parking that we have around there. As we all know that it can get kind of busy and a little bit dangerous with cars on the street there. We also talked about renewing our maintenance agreement that we have with the park as well to ensure that our staff can help maintain that park along with the Ontario Park staff. We had a special meeting of the county council that day, and also big congratulations to the three families who opened a new business called Petawawa Storage. Wish them all the success in the world. Looks like a great business. On the 4th and that evening, county council held their employee recognition evening, and it was actually quite good this year. They had musical events, comedians, and some acrobats, and of course they honored all of their longtime employees for all of their work throughout the county. So that was good to see. On the 6th, I was also at the National Day for Action for Violence Against Women, and it was a very important and impactful ceremony, as it always is. And later that evening was the Town of Petawawa Christmas Parade, Christmas Market, and the lighting of the tree. I want to thank my volunteer, Lucas Condell, for helping to press the button to light the tree up. And I guess I can announce it officially. We always give out a Mayor's Award for the best float on the Petawawa Christmas Parade. And if they're watching or listening, we are bringing over your special plaque. But the winners this year were two businesses that exist together, the Great Ape Empire Outdoor Store and the Flint and Steel. So it's one big business, but they had two floats and they were awesome. Second place was the Trekker Toy Drive float from the Garrison. And third was the Petawawa Rotary Club. So congratulations to them and to everybody really who put a float in. I think according to our Recreation Department, it was the largest parade we've ever had in recent memory. Over 60 floats, they think. There were floats showing up when the parade had already left. They were just showing up and hooking up with the end of the parade. So it was great. On the 8th, I was here for our emergency management meeting that's mandated that the town take part in so that we are prepared for any eventual emergencies here in the town. On the 10th was the final county council meeting of the year where they elected a new warden, because Warden Emo had served his 3 consecutive terms. And this year, Councillor Jennifer Murphy was named the warden for the next 2025-2026 period. So congratulations to Jennifer Murphy and to Councillor Michael Donahue as well, as he ran very capably against her. On the 11th, I was also here to participate in the Trails Committee meeting. Very exciting. It's a good group. And it's all about connectivity in the town of Petawawa, connecting the trails we have, making new trails, and making sure that our residents can get it around the town without having to rely so much on the vehicles. On the 12th, we have a meeting with the CAO of the county concerning social housing and potential partnerships here in the town of Petawawa. So we had a great discussion about what we can do in terms of partnering with the county, who are receiving quite a bit of funding from HPP, Homelessness Prevention Program from Ontario. And as we know, presently the county does not have any social housing partnerships in the town of Petawawa, so this would be something new for all of us. I also had a meeting with the garrison commander that day and his command team, just talking about some collaborations and what's coming up for 2026. I can report that they upped their estimate of our HUs, or federal housing, that they hope to build on federal land here in Petawawa, up to 1,000 to 1,200 units in the next 8 years. They hope to build here in the town of Petawawa, which will go a long way in helping to solve some of our lack of housing in the town of Petawawa. So I think that's great. On the 13th, I was at the bartending fundraiser party. Great to have all the volunteers that earn so much money for the town of Petawawa and the Civic Center campus. And yesterday I was at the soup off as well. Big shout out to Liam Poirier, who puts that event together. There were 32 soup vendors. You paid $20 and you got to taste as many soups as you wanted. I did not make it through 32 soups. I got full after about 20. But they were all delicious, and first place was the creamy Reuben soup, made by who?
Nolan Weisenberg, not Nolan Weisenberg, sorry, Nolan Rupp.
Yeah, it was delicious. It was like eating a Reuben sandwich, but put in a blender. And today, the CAO and I had the good fortune, we reached out to the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Defense staff. And the CAO and I got to meet with members of the Minister of Defense's staff to speak about issues and potential collaborations with DND, the garrison, in the town of Petawawa. We talked about many things. The main ones were the twinning of Petawawa Boulevard and the twinning of the bridge, and how we can revive that project between DND, the province, the county, and the town of Petawawa. And if we can get that back on the table and perhaps ease some of the traffic pressures here in the town of Petawawa. We talked about PILT. We talked about potential recreation collaborations. Help me out here, what else can we talk about? I know there were other things on the list. Anyways, it was a very good discussion with some very open-minded and interested staff within the Ministry of Defense. And they gave us a lot of valuable feedback and also provided us their avenue of how they're going to move some of these projects up the chain. So it was a good start for sure, and we're looking forward to continuing the discussions with them. Okay, and that's it. Next, we have a closed meeting, so I need a motion to go into close. Moved by Councillor Coutu, seconded by Councillor Carmody, that the meeting be closed pursuant to section 239, paragraph 2, paragraph B of the Municipal Act 2001, S.O.2001, C.25 is amended to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, to review an appointment to fill a vacancy on the Petawawa Seniors Advisory Committee. I'll call for the vote. All in favor? That's carried. We are in closed.